Here with Concordia head wrestling coach Josh Watts to preview the 2024-25 season, which is quickly approaching as we record this interview. First, just welcome to Concordia. I know you've been here a few months officially on the job. Previously, you spent 13 seasons as head coach at Iowa Western. What appealed to you about this opportunity you have here?
Well, a lot of things, but mostly being able to develop an athlete for 4 to 5 years. Being at Iowa Western, I had that 2 to 3 year experience, and I wanted to see what we could do developing guys for a longer period of time. Also, I was looking for a place that wanted to invest in people. That was something that was just important to me, and I felt like here at Concordia that they really invested in their people, their coaches, and their student athletes.
Maybe expanding on that a little bit, you kind of answered the question a little bit, but what now that you've been here a little bit, what have you noticed that is in place for Concordia Wrestling to be successful moving forward?
Well, like I said previously, but the support of people, the administration here really supports the coaches. We have great athletic directors who are very hands-on, and so I appreciate that. And then as far as the wrestling team goes, I feel like there's quite a bit of talent on our roster that can develop into something over the course of the year, so we're definitely excited about that.
No, you guys are several weeks, I think, into, or at least a couple weeks into practice, official practice. So you've had the opportunity to get to know your guys as wrestlers and as people a little bit so far. What are some of your first impressions?
They're hungry to learn. They really want to get better at wrestling. They really want to learn wrestling, and so we're doing quite a bit of teaching. And they seem to be really receptive to it. They want to be good, and their willingness to work hard. I've definitely been impressed. This is my first time taking over an existing team. My previous 2 stops, I created teams from scratch. So a little bit of a different dynamic for me, but I'm really happy with the roster we have and the character that we have on the roster.
It seems like one of your first recruiting wins maybe was having Creighton Bauman decide to use another year, somebody you coached at Iowa Western. How important is it to have someone like him back from a standpoint of just what he can do as a wrestler, but also his leadership?
Yeah, I mean, Creighton, it was important for me to get Creighton because he understands my philosophy and kind of what I want from the wrestlers as a whole. And he's a very talented wrestler, but he's an even better person. So he is crucial to the team, and we had some of my Iowa Western guys come in too, and I thought he'd be a very important bridge between the existing Concordia guys and the guys that we brought in as well. Having him here and having that experience is huge for our wrestling team, and if we could just get him to talk a little bit more, that'd be great.
Creighton's one of 3 guys who were at NAI Nationals last year from this team. The others are Mason Garcia and Tommy Wentz. What have you noticed maybe about Mason and Tommy and what they bring to the room?
Yeah, I mean, both seem highly motivated, and they work hard and have been very coachable. So they're very open-minded athletes. So yeah, I'm really happy with kind of the progress I've seen with them so far. We're making some changes with Mason. We're going to move him up a weight class, so we're going to have to adjust their style a little bit there. But Tommy's going to be in the same weight class as last year. So yeah, I'm excited to work with those guys, and very happy with how they've received the new coaching staff.
Wanted to mention a couple of, we'll get to some of maybe the guys you brought in, but a couple of other guys who returned from last year who I think were on the cusp of some good things, but Barrett Brandt and Grant Wells. Of course, Barrett set a school record for pins last season, and Grant was a 20-win guy. What can you say about their progress?
Yeah, again, both those guys, much like Tommy and Mason, very hard workers, very coachable. I think Bear's got a little different skill set than some of the other guys on the roster. But, Bear's moving up a weight class to 74. Grant, we're trying to figure out what the best spot for him currently is. They're a lot of fun to work with. Really, everybody on the roster is fun to work with. So, lots of talent, lots of ability there. I think you're going to see a lot of growth over those guys over the next few months.
So, when you get here, it's maybe late in the process to bring in a lot of recruits, but I know you were able to get some transfers. Kind of what was your philosophy, and what were you trying to do quickly before this first season to get your roster kind of set?
Yeah, I wanted to bring in some guys who understood my philosophy. So it was important to me to bring in, Cole Price, who was a redshirt sophomore for me last year at Iowa Western, two-time All-American. But also Blaine Bomer, Colin Schwarzkopf, those guys who have been with me. Hagen Heistand, who's a transfer from Campbell. I've worked with him in Little Kids Wrestling. Stevie Barnes, who was previously going to school at Iowa State, and he was the same situation with my youth club when they were younger. So I wanted to bring in some guys who understood my philosophy, understood me as a coach, and could help relay maybe what I'm saying to the team, and maybe create a better understanding of my verbiage and my expectations with the guys who are already here.
As you mentioned, you've been at the junior college level and had a lot of success at Iowa Western. You probably were familiar with NAIA programs and some of the wrestlers that were, and certainly sent some guys to NAIA programs like Creighton. But what is your sense of what GPAC wrestling is like in the NAIA as a whole, and just your excitement level for kind of diving into that?
Yeah, well, I think it's a new challenge, right? I think I spent a total of 17 years in junior college between Darton College and Iowa Western. So the new challenge is exciting. The new players in the game is exciting. The development for a longer period of time is also exciting. So I'm familiar for the most part with the players in the game, and the game might be played a little bit differently than what I was doing the past couple of years with recruiting and so forth there. So it's a highly competitive division. That there's some nuances to it that's a little bit different, but all in all, it's wrestling. There's a circle, a mat, you shake hands and you go.
It's just that simple, right? Your coaching staff, of course, includes Isaiah Crosby, somebody you coached as well, and he went on to wrestle at Oregon State. But how excited are you to have him as part of this, and what are some of the main things that you both are emphasizing as a staff right now?
Well, I thought Isaiah Crosby was going to be an excellent coach in general. When he wrestled for me at Iowa Western, he was a pretty good mentor and leader internally. And so I thought he had some good characteristics to become a really, really good coach. Brought him in, and he's even been better than I thought he would be in regards to teaching. A lot of times, if you're a really good wrestler, you're not always best at teaching the techniques and relaying what's in your head to the athlete. He is excellent at that, and he's relevant in the recruiting world as well. Kids can Google him and see his matches and see how he competed, and he again understands my philosophy, and then we can combine our philosophies and move forward. So him and I working together is a pretty smooth process. We adapt my structure and my philosophy a little bit to some of his nuances as well, and so it's been a good marriage so far.
Well, last couple of seasons, kind of interesting that it was Chase Clayson here, who is another guy you had coached at Iowa Western. A couple solid years the last year. Now that you have seen this team a little bit, how do you start to form what expectations are, or is that something that's going to develop over time here?
Well, I think a lot of that is, as far as goal setting and stuff like that, that's an internal thing with the team. So I'm a big believer in the team sets the goals, not the coaching staff. So at the beginning of the year, we divided them into 3 groups, and they set out their goals for the year. And from that standpoint forward is the coaching staff's, my philosophy is that the coaching staff's job then is to hold them accountable to the goals instead. Usually it creates more buy-in from the team if they're the ones setting the expectations. As far as the end of the year outcome, we have our day-to-day expectations, our academic expectations, and everything there, that we have those standards and we set those. But on the competitive side, they set their standards and we hold them accountable to them. They're really motivated. They want to be successful. They want to chase championships, and so we're holding them to that and pushing them to the best of our ability to achieve those things.
All right, last thing, can I get a SCO Dogs?
SCO Dogs?
SCO Dogs, yeah.
SCO Dogs.